All right, here's the scenario. Oh, you're already laughing at my opening because I'm trying to be all professional about it, and you just think that's hilarious.
Just be regular.
I can't help it. So here's the scenario. You've been in a relationship for years, like we both were, and then suddenly you're back on the market again. You have to date again, only now you are a single parent. What do you do? So stick around and you'll find out.
I'm Lily, single mom to teen twins.
Father!
I'm recording in here.
And I'm Scott, single dad to a preteen boy.
Dad!
It's under the sink!
We're two old friends trying to navigate single parenting.
And spending the whole time thinking, I hope I don't fuck this up. All right, welcome to Hope I Don't F This Up. My name's Scott. I am the proud single parent of a 10-year-old boy.
And I'm Lily. I am a single mom to 17-year-old twins.
And we are going to talk about dating today. You excited?
No.
No, not at all.
I mean, I'm always excited to talk to you, but not about dating.
Not about dating. Oh my God, the pain. It's like the thing that we do that we know will hurt, and we do it anyway.
Yep.
Well, first off, before we go down that dark, dark path, there's something we like to do on the podcast where we talk about a parenting fail of the week and we ask for forgiveness. Lily, why don't you go first?
This week was the first week of school here in New York. And 2 days before the first week of school, I started a new full-time job myself. And I had really big plans over last weekend to prep for this week because I knew I'd be overwhelmed. New job, new school start, was going to have a meal plan. I was going to do clean. I was going to do this pile of laundry that was behind my back. And this is just mine. Like, teenagers take care of themselves a lot. So the work level is low. It was just really just think of things ahead of time so you don't have to get screwed all week long. And would you like to guess whether I did that or not?
I think I know the answer. How much? Well, what percentage of it did you do?
I definitely got the shower the night before the new job started. And That's about it. Like, I was like, I thought of one meal. I went into on Monday. It was a holiday, so nobody was working. I thought of like the meal for the next night, and I got it at the grocery store that day. And that's all. That's all. Sometimes that's all you can do. It's just one day. Like, I can't. I'm not that parent.
I am going to forgive you so fast on that. I have done that so many times. And like the meal plan especially is so hard because, I have my son full time. So like, and I do not cook. I'm the worst cook in the world. I'm dating someone now who can just whip something up, right? She's like, oh, I'll whip something up. And out comes this meal. I whip something up and out comes a hate crime. Like, it's just.
No, I can whip things up. But there was nothing in the refrigerator, and it's like the thinking of it that is the problem. So it's been 17 years that I've been failing at this. So I don't know why I thought that I'd fix it this past weekend. I know it's to my benefit. Kids don't really care. It's fine. Like, they'll eat whatever. But I really I shoot myself in the foot, and I don't.
Oh, well, I forgive you. That because by saying that, I'm forgiving myself. And it is so hard. I mean, especially new job. I can't even, that is such pressure. And thankfully your kids are a little older, but like starting a new job as a single parent is such a unique pressure.
Yeah.
Will they understand? It's tough.
It's super tough. The woman who hired me, also a single mom, and she was like, I want you because I know your situation, which was an unbelievably wonderful thing to have happen.
That's amazing.
She's single mom of 3 kids, so even worse. But they've been very understanding. I asked to have the rest of August. I wasn't going to start until September because I wanted to be with my kids, but I did not think about it being just after Labor Day and the start of the first week of school. So whatever, I'll live and learn.
Hey, do it all at once. Move and get divorced at the same time. Do everything at the same time.
Yeah.
Well, mine is also involves kind of a first. I started coaching my son's baseball team, and I've never coached anything before. I only did it because they said that they didn't have enough coaches and they were gonna cancel the season if they couldn't get more coaches. So I was like, fine, I'll do it. So I'm like third string coach. There's like 3 coaches and I'm coach number 3. I have no experience, don't know what I'm doing. I mean, it's baseball. I know baseball, but I literally have no idea what I'm doing. I'm showing up.
Yeah.
And while we're coaching, I'm like trying to encourage all the other kids.
Yeah.
But I'm treating my son like he's my son. So everybody else gets encouragement and he's getting, you can do better. Like, move fast.
Oh,
like I'm like
worst.
giving him, it's like all the little, and not, I mean, look, in a nice way, but like all the little criticisms that you do when you're trying to get somebody to be better. Cause I know when he's lazy or he's not running fast enough and things like that. All those are at him. Every other kid on the team is just getting you're the best. And at the end, he comes back and he's like, Dad, can you please not be mean? And I was like, oh no.
He called you
He didn't
out
say
on it.
mean. He didn't say mean. I mean, I don't remember exactly what he said. And I did recognize as I was doing it. Like I'm like, I promise you never again. And we had the game yesterday and it was completely different and it went great. So,
Good.
but it's so hard because you just do it without thinking.
You nag him.
I didn't nag him. I just said, come on, you can go faster. Look the ball into the glove. Everyone else, great job. Wow. You like, he is like, so, I mean, I felt pretty bad after that. I know. I felt pretty bad about it. I feel like in this podcast, you come across as, you're overwhelmed. I come across as I'm a bad person trying to be better.
Listen, you're not a bad person. We're all just people who happen to be in charge of other people at the moment. And we all fuck up,
Yeah.
There's a reason that this podcast is named what it is, because we know that. But I forgive you for being a human being, Scott, and a parent at the same time. I totally forgive you, especially in knowing that we've got to give our kids something to talk about in their therapy.
Oh, that I have no problem with. He fills the hour. Let's say he fills the hour. He's got a good 50 minutes of material every month. Well, I guess we're transitioning from that because we're really here to talk about dating.
Yes.
That horrible thing that we thought was probably, I don't know, when I was, kind of at the tail end of the marriage where things aren't going so great, you start to fantasize a little bit about what dating would be like and like how wonderful it will be to like meet people that you don't have all of this friction and problems with.
Men think about that. I just want to
Really? You don't think about that? Yeah. What do you? So that's what I was. I mean, I'm not. I never would cheat. It was nothing like that. It was just, it was like alternate reality thought. Like if I were in a different world, what were you thinking?
No, I was thinking about not having to deal with being married anymore. That was like the big relief for me. I mean, of course, like. I mean, not even during my marriage. Like you meet somebody cute, and be like, oh, but like that doesn't feel like dating to me. The thing that I was most dreading was, in fact, one of the reasons that's like, maybe should we get divorced or should you just like suffer and think about whether you actually want to, was like that whole getting to know you thing. I had 25 years with my ex, and like them inside and out, or at least as best as anybody could. And I don't want to do that again with anybody, no matter how cute or whatever I don't want to learn about anybody's problems. I don't want to learn about their family. I don't want to teach them about mine. So for me it feels more like homework.
Oh wow, that's the saddest thing I've ever heard.
Well, try being a woman.
I know. Well, I mean, I think there is a sense that a lot of the women that I talk to about this, there is a sense that there is some giant gender divide in this scenario, especially as you get older. That this sense of like, guys are silver foxes, and so it's, they don't worry about looks, and guys are, they kind of, it's kind of like opening the menu now, and they can have anybody they want. And it actually is not like that at all.
Well, and I will say the what is wanted, and this is purely unscientific, based on research and assumptions. No research and assumptions, rather. But men at 48, 49, 50 get divorced. And they're like, great, where's my next 25, 30-year-old? Because maybe they want to start a new family. Maybe they just like want the age differential so that they feel important and grown up or whatever. No judgments. Judgments, but not really. Not out loud.
Yeah, I'm like, don't lie on this pod.
And we, as like women who want to date men, are looking at that same age group and they're like, you're too old. So even though we're exactly the same age or maybe a couple years younger, like we're too old.
Here's what I sort of ran into. I call it the Rip Van Winkle effect.
Okay.
Where I got married when I was in my late 20s.
Yeah.
And I was a certain person at that time. I dated a certain age. I felt a certain way. Yeah. And that is kind of like caught in amber for me the last time I dated. Then I'm married, this and that, and I get divorced and I'm in my mid 40s at this point. But in my head, I'm still in my late 20s. I'm still caught in amber in late 20s. And when I go out and I look at people to date, like that is where my eye goes, because I'm like, that's the last time I dated. This is what everyone looked like.
No.
And like, I know.
We'll just say that maybe it's not just caught in amber, but maybe it's like any man who dates wants to date a 25-year-old again after
it did not last long. I would say it did not for me last long. It lasted like maybe a couple months where I was like, looking through, and then I just started to think about, one, I really have nothing in common with somebody in their late 20s. I mean, it is a vast difference in experience and life outlook. They are at the start of a ride that I'm in the middle of, with parenting. I'm not looking to start another family.
Yeah.
But also like, I felt creepy. Like I just felt creepy looking at that. We set up an algorithm. So I had two friends and I that we all got divorced around the same time. Yeah. And we set out an algorithm. And you just put the age in, your age and their age, like what, and it pumps out like what age range is really appropriate for you. And then I only dated people in that age range.
I am sorry. I'm laughing at the fact that you just can't come to that conclusion logically without the algorithm.
I needed an algorithm. I needed to know where the floor was so that I didn't break social mores and like not even break social mores, to like save myself from myself.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there are a lot of old soul 32-year-olds, but it felt weird. I mean, I was about 43, I think 42, 43 when I first started.
And when did you set your age range at?
35. Yeah, that felt like the right age. I didn't want, because someone who's 32, 33, they're looking to start a family. And I have my family. I didn't need that.
Women are on a clock. Like if they want to have a family, don't waste their time.
Well, and that really was in the back of my head. And it's something that I think not enough guys think about, but like, when you date somebody in their late 20s, early 30s, that clock is like right in the middle of ticking and you're wasting their time. Yeah. And that's not fair. Like, especially if you don't feel like that's something you want. If it's something you want, then you're not. I mean, there are guys in their early 40s that want to start families, and that's a different conversation.
Bless their hearts. There's also, let's talk about not knowing for a second. So, I mean, what I really hate about dating now is like there's no like I met my ex-husband when I was 19 and we started dating at 19. So if you want to talk about really being out of touch with what dating is like, that's when we started dating. We got married by the time I was 24. And so like my entire youth was just married. Like I was just with somebody that whole time. But the thing that's so weird in particular is like, yes, sure. So I didn't go. My brother introduced my ex and I, but people went out and like went to clubs or like whatever. Like you met people in person. So like from my mid 90s dating experience was like people you went to school with and people you went out and met while you're out. And coming back into the dating world with apps, I felt like, well, I'm in the media business. Like I know how to choose a picture. I know how to write some copy. Like that part, I didn't feel like I was going to screw up because I know what people like to click on. And I don't feel, I have friends who are photographers who have taken great pictures of me. So like, I've used great pictures, but I felt like I had missed a decade at least of like people learning how to do this. And I felt like I was starting to play a game that nobody had told me the rules about. And I was fucking up left and right. Like it was like just even trying to like knowing who to swipe on or like reading through the lines about what people were saying that they wanted or didn't want, or like at men at 45 and up saying that they didn't know yet about a family. And like, wait, that's got to be conveying something that I'm missing out on. Because what are you talking about? You don't know if you want kids yet.
Well, to give them the benefit of the doubt, that could be because they already have like kids and they don't know if they want more kids. I mean,
yeah, figure it out, dude. You're 45, 50. Are you kidding?
By the way, that was completely intimidating to me. That one choice when you like first start dating and what are you looking for?
Yeah.
Like, I had no idea. I had no idea what I was looking for. Like, but if you say you have no idea what you're looking for, nobody wants to date you.
I couldn't be possibly more clear to most, I'm going to not say most women, I'd say a majority of women. They know whether they want any more kids or not from today on.
Well, because it's a very different experience, like for most women when it comes to, you have to carry the child, you have to be, I mean, there's so much involved.
Yeah.
For women and for guys, we don't have any, for us, it's like, oh, well, you know, squirting child support. Like, it's like,
God, it really should be harder for you.
It really should. I mean, look, I feel like I'm carrying the burden for all men right now. You know, it is true, though. It is the sense of like when you watch, you know, women dropping into natural gender roles when it comes to race, it just happens no matter how enlightened the guy is. It's like, if you don't have a conversation about it, 90% of the time, it's just going to happen.
Yeah.
And that's in the back of your head. And so like, I spent 2 months where I said I was just, you know, looking to have fun. And I got like very little. And so I had to say that I'm open. I said open to a long-term relationship. Because I mean, I was married. I am open to a long-term relationship. Yeah. With the right person. And then people started clicking on me at that point. So
let me ask you a question about those particular, like what you like. I forgot. I mean, it's not something I didn't even think about, but like when my divorce itself took a long time, it was like happened over the pandemic. So like there was courts were shut down.
Mine too.
We weren't in a hurry because like we were perfectly happy with each other. He lived with his new girlfriend. Like it was not like we were getting back together or there was confusion. It just took a long time. So we were technically separated for 3 years before the divorce went through. And in several of the pictures that I used that came just before separated, I had my wedding ring on. And I didn't even think about it. Like it was super simple. Like I didn't have like a big diamond or anything. I just had a band. And several people called me out. They're like, is that a wedding ring on your finger? Hey, so that was mistake number one. But like then B, I had to think like, do I put separated and be truthful? And like automatically filter out all the people who are like, this bitch, forget her. She's not divorced. I'm not messing with it. She's still got a husband. Or do I put divorce and lie, which is really a better representation of the situation?
I'm going to guess you put separated.
No, I did put divorced for sure. Cause like, I don't know.
Really?
Yeah, for sure. Like I didn't want to have to explain it. Like I felt better about it once we actually were divorced and having it in there. And I put something in like bio that like I have a, you know, peaceful or whatever relationship with my ex that we're co-parenting or something along those lines, so that it wasn't like weird for somebody that we still text and see each other and stuff. But I left it as
interesting.
Divorced. Yeah.
Wow. Because you know, that was something I was very clear about separated because one, I think, and this might also be a gender thing, but like, I hate saying things are gender things in 2024, but it does kind of feel like it, where it's, if I'm caught out in a lie on that, I think that is a deal breaker. And two, it's like also like, even morally, it is for a guy, you know, it's a big misrepresentation.
Why? Tell me why. Because like it's not like the situation was that like I'm gonna be getting back together. Like, what is the big deal for you?
Well, two things. One is that you just don't know if things are going to change. I mean, especially if you're dating someone with kids, you just don't know if it's separated. There are plenty of people that I know that got separated, went, played the field a little bit, realized how horrible it was, and then got back together. Like that has happened multiple times.
And that didn't have to be the
Boom!
first time.
See, you did it. You did it. See, you said you were divorced and you lied. So that was
no, that time I didn't. That was early
Okay.
dating apps when it was just
Okay.
like online. I don't even think they had the wherewithal to ask.
but I'm saying it happens. It happens.
Yeah.
And then the other is and this was true about me, like my emotional state when it came to dating was so different, when I was just separated. Like,
Oh, really?
dating is about, at that point for me, when I first separated, it was about reminding myself that there are possibilities out there because I had been in such a bad situation. So it's like, it was a hope, exercise in hope. But it was not an exercise in find my next wife. It was an exercise in feel good about yourself. It was an exercise in, can I do this? How does it feel? And all those things. And so even like I did end up briefly dating somebody maybe like a year and a half in for maybe 4 months. It was right when the pandemic hit.
Yeah.
And she was ready to go faster. And I realized that I just wasn't at all. That, like, it had nothing to do with her. It just had to do with the fact that that's not what I was looking for at all. And it was a game of musical chairs, and the music hadn't stopped yet.
And to me, like, the legality has no part in any of those decisions that, like, I think that you rightly made. For me, it's like, I agree that sometimes when you start dating, it's about like, oh, what are the options out there? And then I quickly realized, like, I hate all of them.
So bad.
And once I was separated, I was like, oh, there might be something interesting. Oh, there might be other opportunities. Oh, there might be possibilities with other futures with other people. And then the amount of time and effort it takes to actually like play the game, like I realized, like, I don't want to commit to that. Like, I'm not paying attention to the app. Like, I don't have notifications on. Like,
Oh, I never did that either.
yeah.
I never did that either. I know people that did that, and I'm like, what is the note? It's like ding, somebody likes you. Like, it's just a weird thing, especially because you learn very quickly that they don't. They don't really like you.
It's not about
They like
the picture.
The extremely low bar that they've had to set you barely clear. Like that's what it's about.
I was actually kind of glad though in the like, so my ex moved out just at the end of 2019. So pandemic started in early 2020.
Yeah, mine happened right in 2019 too. It was crazy. It was like right into the pandemic.
I was terrified, obviously, like the entire world was for a lot of 2020 and 2021. So like, I'm really interested in getting on the apps and introducing myself to like a potential death mate. And that's like outside of my bubble. But the fact that I had to be alone with my kids, like, they were home with me 24/7 at that time because there was no going to school.
Yes.
It was,
Yes.
I was kind of glad for it. Like I'm really glad that I didn't jump back into dating full force because it forced me to take the opportunity to just like think about myself.
I mean, that is like, if we were to throw a couple of tips out there for the poor schmoes just like us, my tip number one would be that, like, if you're especially the longer the relationship you are in, the more time you need to reintroduce yourself to yourself. Like, and that's, I don't care if you're a guy or girl, if you're 30 or if you're 50, like, who are you now? And if you're a parent, especially, who are you as a parent?
My ex, and both times we broke up, he immediately moved in with his new girlfriend that he'd been with while we were together. And forget like the morality, all that. But the thing that I've ended up feeling for him is like, I feel really bad for you. Like, you never got to be alone. Like, you never got to do what you want to do in your apartment by yourself or think about just you. And I've often wished like, oh, I really wish he could have had that just so like, he could learn some of his flaws, maybe his own when it's not somebody else calling him out on it. But yeah,
not your problem anymore. Not
my
your
problem anymore. But like, we're friends, and so like, I would say that to him now. Like, be alone. Don't be scared.
It's good for so many reasons. It's also good because your children are going through a traumatic experience just as the time that you are.
Yeah.
You need to focus on reminding them how important they are.
Yeah.
A new partner will make them feel less connected.
Yeah.
And so you do need to, I think, set up what does it mean to be a parent
Yeah.
in this new scenario, and then worry about what does it mean to go out and, find a new partner, because it's not going to be easy. I mean, and introducing that new person when you find them into your life is not going to be easy. And you got to have a groundwork, to sit on, which, I think I kind of knew intuitively, but that's because I'm also a selfish person that likes my own time. And I like being by myself.
To that point though, like I am so uninterested in dating right now because I so enjoy my time alone since I've got the kids. Like, I mean, and again, they're teenagers, so like the demand that you're still parenting, but it's teenagers, so the parenting is different. But I've got them every day. They're here every day except for 2 weekends a month, and those 2 weekends a month are my only time alone. And
Yeah.
I'm not, I mean, maybe I could at their age now, like go out on a date on a weekday, but I feel too much guilt about that. So I don't,
Really?
yeah,
Well, we'll talk about that in another episode. I think that the guilt of dating
for sure.
is
But like
its
the
own animal.
totally. But the preciousness of being alone has made me really hesitant to like invest the time in dating apps. I wish there was matchmakers that I could afford that would just do it for me. And B, like giving up that precious Saturday in your pajamas. Like, like I love doing thing on a weekend.
I love that our dating advice is don't do it. Just don't do it.
What's funny is like I don't know if you get served these same memes that I do on social media, but like everything I see is women who are divorced now. I'm like, I love this so much. I love being alone. You better like, to allow somebody into my home, into my life, like I don't want you here. I don't want your socks here. I've had the thought like if I ever meet somebody that I want to be with again, like I like my furniture. Like, how am I gonna like
Oh
integrate
man,
houses again?
It's funny. I'm dating someone right now, and it's been over a year. It's going really well, and we're never moving in together. Like I like my stuff, you like your stuff. Like maybe when we retire, but like we each have our kids, we each have our lives, and it's like she'll stay over, and she will be like, I hate that, but it's not my problem. Well, I mean, it's funny, like when you're talking about being alone, I hate that it keeps coming back to these sort of gender roles, and yet they just seem to ring true time and time again. And one of them is the caretaker role that a wife will often take on in this relationship, this sense of like, and I needed to be taken care of as much as anyone else, but also you just fall into
Let's
it.
alter that language just a little bit and not say
Sure.
a wife will often take on a caretaker role. It's that shit needs to get done, and the woman is the only one who will do it. And that is the problem.
Look, here's my bone to pick on that. My bone to pick on that, and once again, this is another episode.
Sure.
But oftentimes it's not. I will talk about my relationship. I will not talk about anybody else's relationship because everybody else is different. But in my relationship, it wasn't that because I did the laundry, I did the dishes, like I did a lot of the chores. The question wasn't, somebody's got to do it, so I'll do it. It was somebody's got to do it right. And right is the way I have established that it's right. And so if you do it your way, that might not be the right way, in which case I'll just do it. And so there are certain things that I got socialized into not doing because when I did them, they were wrong.
Didn't do them right. Well, that for sure is a thing. Like I'd say that's a subset of what we're talking about here.
Okay.
And it's more like the mental load stuff that you've seen, everywhere.
I'm going to cut us off. This is such a great episode, and it's not this episode. So, because there's so much to talk about there.
When you filter, so for your dates, like when you're looking, like I will check into the apps now, well, because like I'll get like a couple of glasses of wine in me and start swiping when I'm alone. because I feel lonely for that one moment and never go back again after 2 months. However, when you are doing that, like what are some of the red flags you're looking for, or what are some of the filters that you're like mentally applying when you're looking at?
Well, some of these are things I learned over time, and like maybe this will help listeners hop past a hurdle that we kind of had right away. But one of them is, one of the big questions is, do I date someone who has kids or not?
Yeah.
And early on, I'm like, I don't care. I'll date whoever. That is gone now. It has to be someone with kids, because it really needs to be somebody who understands, what the priorities are for me, and to have those, and not even understands it, because I think a single person can really understand that, but has them exactly under, so that when I say I can't go out tonight for a, PTA meeting, or because I'm like, just need to, or, what I have to do, which is, I have one day, on my weekends where it's just me and my son, and we go and we do something together so that we can have that connection moment. The woman I'm dating right now understands that, because she has kids and she, has those same moments. Someone who is not dating can often feel like, well, where am I in that? Why can't I come? Why can't I be a part of this? Because they want to sort of insert themselves into the family that way. And I just think that's tough. And for me, I think that's tough. I'd rather find somebody who understands
that's so
that
much
situation.
More of a thoughtful reason about why you want. I also want. Like single dads will go like to this front of the line. I wish they were more upfront about like their single dadness, or more of them. Some of them are on the apps, because like I want the same thing. Like I want somebody who gets it, but B, like I don't want somebody who wants all my time. And like if you're a single,
because you don't have it,
like,
you don't have it.
You got your own life. You got your own kid. Like if we get to see each other once or twice a month for a dinner, enough. That's enough for me right now.
Especially to start out, like build. Build, and you'll get there. Like I think that's a big one. It was a big one for me too. Was my age algorithm. I think I actually think my age algorithm was a good idea, and I've aged it up. So now, I mean, I couldn't imagine dating anyone under 40 at this point, just because I do think it's a different stage of life, and it's just that, I mean, and no shade on anyone, that, because I do know plenty of old souls, and like, I've seen those relationships work fine.
Yeah.
For both. I mean, I have one divorced female friend who's dating someone in their mid-30s, and they're doing pretty well.
My own mother married a 25-year-old when she was 40, and we're still married to this day. My stepdad's a great guy.
So no shade on any of that. This is a personal thing. It's just there are sorry, a giant groundhog just walked by outside and just stared at me as it was doing it. Like, God, the balls on that thing. Anyway, I don't know why people think I have ADHD. What was I saying? What was I saying?
The age.
Yeah, the age. Because I mean, I feel like I mentally do probably match best with like a 20-year-old when it comes to my attention span. But no, it's no shade on anybody who can make that work. And this would not be a tried and true, hard and fast rule. But it is, it's tough to match up, especially when you're both parents.
Let's say it looks like, what do you like? Is there?
Oh God, you're pulling me. I'm trying to sound all like, hot. They have to be hot. I'm sorry.
It's the problem. The problem for me is like having been in an editorial role for the most of my life, and being an aesthetically moved person. Like I can tell you if that picture is a good looking picture of a good looking person in like less than half a second, but I cannot tell you if I'm actually attracted to them. And that's the problem that I keep running into, is like, oh, here's a person that like fits my aesthetic parameters, and like their text, their copy is like okay enough in one way or another, but I have no idea if I'm actually attracted to them. And that's where I keep like failing. Like I'll get on a first date and be like, I can't. It reinforces the fact that like all these apps feel like a waste of time.
They're not a waste of time. I think there are rules that you need to follow, and there are certain rules that I do firmly believe in, and I have broken every one of these rules, but they are still very important. One is you got to get to that date as quick as you can, because there's nothing worse than spending 2 weeks texting back and forth,
Yeah.
I mean, we're both writers. So like, I'm, being witty and fun and emojifying it, and we're good at it. And, and I've dated or like, set up dates for people that were also just like, God, text after text. And it becomes this distraction that you do. And you've wasted 2 weeks then when you sit down to have a date and realize that there's no chemical reaction. And it is a chemical reaction. I think we have to remember that. There's chemistry
Yep.
here.
Yep.
And I have sat down with the most attractive person in the world and felt nothing because there was no chemical reaction. And I sat down with people where I was like, I'm like, I'll give it a shot, even though I wasn't like crazy about the photo, and sat down and was immediately engaged. So, I mean, there's a pheromone going on.
Sure. And I personally don't think I'm a photogenic person at all. So like,
I am definitely not.
so you're missing out. Like, and I will say,
And you
like,
are, by the way.
I'm not a photogenic person, and that's okay, because like I feel like they're like on the street, I get like I know that people think that I'm attractive, but I don't think it's quite the same in photographs for me. So I'm like missing out on a lot of like what that natural, like the people who are attracted to, not that everybody's attracted to me, but like the people who are, I don't think are even getting like an accurate review of me, and so I'm surely doing that to somebody else.
I know. Well, it's funny. The first time, the woman I'm currently dating, like we talked, I broke every rule with her, by the way. I have to be upfront.
Of course you did.
We texted way too much. It took like a week and a half before we got together. And I think there were like 1,000 texts before we got to that point. So just remember, take it all with a grain of salt.
Yep.
But, my photos by the time I had met her on the app, were a little older, because the pandemic had hit and they were all like maybe 3 or 4 years old. And so she's like, well, can you take a picture of yourself and send it to me? So I took a picture of myself, and she told me later that she saw it and she cried. Like she saw the picture. She's like, oh no. Like she was so devastated by what I look like in that picture.
Nobody should ask anybody in their 40s or older for a selfie, first of all. Like,
No, it does not turn out well. And like, I wasn't smiling because I don't love how I look when I feel like my face widens when I smile, and I'm still trying to pretend like my face is when I was 29, and it just isn't. Yep. So I wouldn't smile for the picture. And so she wrote back, she said, are you sure you're not a serial killer? Like that's, I guess, the look I had. So this is what happened when I sent this photo. And then, but we had, so in this case, and by the way, you can see how every rule I'm putting out there, I'm immediately then gainsaying it. She still gave me a shot. And I think it's mostly because of how horrible some of the other people she had dated had been. And she was just like, he's nice. I want to try nice for a change. And when we went out, we were immediately attracted to each other. We talked for like 4 hours, and it was just like, I saw the relief in her eyes when I saw her in person was both hilarious and mortifying at the same time. But she was like so relieved that I wasn't a mole person when she saw me. But yeah.
I mean, I've seen pictures of you. You look like you. Like, I mean, I don't know. You must have taken the world's worst selfie.
It was with this background, by the way, and she's not a fan of this wallpaper. And so I think she felt like it looks like a murder den. Like that's what the last thing that somebody sees before they die is these birds. It'd be like, if this was like a murder mystery movie, they'd be like, all right, find them. They're in a room with birds. It'd be like, these are the birds. So she didn't love that. And I was just like just straight late. Cause I actually didn't think I looked that bad, but
trying to get that jawline flexed.
It was all jaw. It was just going for all jaw and chin. Cause I got the little John Travolta cleft thing. I was trying to accentuate that.
Yep. Get the lighting right.
I mean, to be fair, she's a professional photographer. So there was no way I was going to win. For that one exception, I had 10 wasted weeks of just texting and then having it not work.
There have been a lot of men who have been like, we each swipe on each other. There's like 1 or 2 messages back and forth, and they're like, let's go get a drink. And for me, I hear that and I think they're going to murder me. So I'm not that
interesting.
Getting to know somebody over text is, a lie detector test or anything like that. But you get a sense of them more, I think, when you communicate for a little while. So are they responding really quickly, and is that too quick, or is that weird, or do they say inappropriate things? Are they like, there's all kinds of like indicators I think that happen in that text communication that lets you relax your spidey senses a little bit. And like, okay, I'll go meet you in a public place somewhere. Because if you want to
Interesting.
meet me
Yeah.
too fast, and I get what you're saying, you don't want to waste time. And every man on or nearly every man on these apps says, like, I don't want to text buddy. Let's just go out. Every single one. And every single woman that I know wants to get to know you just a tiny bit before they agree to like meet a stranger from the internet or phone, whatever, in person. Because the fear
Wow.
there all of the time is like, am I about to set up a date with somebody who's going to kill me?
I mean, it is that underlying thing cannot be stressed enough.
Totally.
And like, that's something that like, as a guy, we just do not understand. And we just don't have that feeling. And that cannot be stressed enough and isn't stressed enough. And as my compromise, and I did come to this compromise, was if, there's somebody I really want to meet, they really would like to get to know me first, I suggest the phone call.
Yeah.
Because I think a nice 20-minute phone call just to say hi, just to get a sense of, do they have a friendly, warm sounding voice?
Yeah.
Can we do a little bit of repartee? Whatever it is. So I've done that a decent amount. And I love talking on the phone. Because I'm a Gen Xer and we like human connection. But that to me was a nice middle ground. And maybe it's a Zoom call, maybe it's whatever. But like,
but we just talked about how we don't look good in selfies. Have you seen that front-facing camera? Like, I don't want to face
that's
that
angle. I feel like once I come alive, I look better than when you capture me like for it's
right,
like that
fair
frame
enough.
grab section. Put me into life, I'm better. Like, but I completely understand the need to get to know them, to feel like they're not murderers.
Yeah.
But I just don't like, what I don't like about the texting is that it's so hard. Like, I find texting actually really time consuming, and I start to get irritated if it's at the wrong time. And I feel like I'm doing a stand-up routine for like 2 weeks because I don't know anything about you. Like, I don't know enough about how to talk to you.
Yeah. And I think what I do, which is how I'm playing the game wrong, is I go into it completely as me, which I feel like ultimately is the best way to
That's
do
not
it.
wrong. That's the best way to do it.
Like, I'm not doing the like, oh, like the coy shit that I see girls do or women do that I like. I wouldn't like, not that like there isn't like plenty of sexy time texting in a relationship, whatever, but I'm not going to be coy like that with a stranger. So I'm just me. And a lot of people, I think, read that as like too much, or I don't know what they're doing. But I have had the situation where I've had that back and forth, really great textual chemistry. And in person, I was like, it's twice this has happened where I've made the decision to meet based on like these really great text conversations after a week or two, like you're saying. And it was it's just like nothing there.
And I completely resent now all the time I spent doing all of that.
Oh, I know. Like, I'm just
oh, see, you had a good time. I don't like texting, so
yeah, like I don't mind it because I do it like as I like, that doesn't feel like pressure to me because I don't have notifications or like anything on. So when I'm going in there, and like it does give me that kind of excitement and titillation that you were talking about, like as a relationship, because it's like, oh, this is fun, this is interesting. It's like something to do instead of just like scrolling Instagram or whatever when I'm sitting on the couch. So that part does seem fun. And then when we meet in person and it doesn't have any of that chemistry, it's disappointing. But like, I'm like, ugh. I don't want to talk to them again because there's no point.
But I would say that like you're coming at it from a healthy perspective of this is a fun kind of thing. There are people that really start to fall in love over text.
Yeah.
And, they start to really build up in their heads based off of this text, especially someone who's had a lot of bad dates and someone who's had a lot of poor, and they're just looking for hope and are looking for something like not just looking for a distraction. That's where I think you can really go down the wrong path with this and be like,
sure,
really start to fall for somebody who doesn't exist. and that can really start to hurt after like 4 or 5 times. So
Yeah.
if you're doing, my advice would be, if you are doing Lily's method, which is, it's a fun side like way to flirt. It's a flirt thing.
Huh?
Have fun. Go at it. You're not hurting anybody. Do not think that this is any indicator on how you'll actually be. I have plenty of people that are amazing texters and can't put a freaking sentence together. You're walking a line, especially when you're a parent, because remember, when you get devastated, it affects more than just you. Like when when things are difficult and it hurts.
You're not able to bottle all your emotions down.
Exactly.
What's wrong?
You're just, it's just, I hate saying it because it's pressure, but it's still, you're not just, it's like when you're pregnant, you're eating for two, you're dating for two.
100%. When my mom was a single mom, like she dated more and like we met more of the dates than I think is appropriate for a parent-child relationship. But like I remember distinctly meeting some people and being like, I hate that guy. Bad vibe. Like we didn't say bad vibes back in the 80s, but like that is what I felt. I was like, this guy is no good. And when I met my stepdad, I really, really loved him right from the jump. Like he was a great guy, and like
because he was the same age as you. You could be buddies.
He and I, in fact, I will say this: my older sister and he are the same age difference as he and my mother. So that.
Wow.
He's a good guy, but that is definitely something that I consider every single time. And my daughter is a harsh critic. Like she is going to judge the shit out of you.
Well, we're getting close to the end here.
Okay.
One other thought I had, my kind of final thought, is to come back to my Rip Van Winkle analogy. I went out and started dating again, and I started using the same moves that I used when I was in my 20s. I'm a musician, and when you're in your 20s and you tell a girl you're a musician, she's like, "Ooh, you're a musician?" And when you're in your 40s, she's like, "Ooh, you're a musician?" Because if you're at a date with a musician and you have not heard of them, you are paying for dinner. Like that is just the truism.
My son is a musician. That is what I fear for him.
But I mean, like all these women in their 20s, and I'm sure guys in their 20s, there's a similar thing, but especially for women in their 20s, they're attracted to potential, and you have the potential to be something. When you're in your 40s, you've already realized a lot of that potential. And if you haven't realized it, it's a red flag. So when you're kind of putting yourself out there, I do think it's important to look at kind of what are the ways in which you're actualized, not what are the ways in which you are potential. Like I'm a musician, but I don't lead with I'm a musician. I'm a musician is a fun thing to find out about me. It's not the thing that I lead with. Because being in your mid 40s and a musician and not having like anybody have heard of you is not a great look. And that's just,
it's not what you do for a living. Yeah.
It's not what you do for a living. It's not how you're going to support yourself. There's just these financial things about life in your 40s where people are like always thinking about. It's a touchy subject to talk about because it's something that I think we're all uncomfortable talking about, being, what are you looking for financially when you're,
that's one of my filters is like, do you have a job and what is it? Like, not that I judge you for what your job is. I just want to know that you can support yourself.
Well, and I think I look at it as two ways. I want somebody who has a job and can support themselves because I'm not also interested in being a sugar daddy. But two, I'm attracted to people with passions.
That was going to be my question about what you were saying though. Cause like the thing that I spend a lot of my time on is like my side project is, the jennymag.com, like little plug here for my women's lifestyle website.
Please, everyone follow it, read it every day. It will change your life.
It is really good. I really, really like it. I spend a ton of money on it and we've made like $500 from it.
Well, welcome to modern media.
I mean, yes, but like the thing that I like about me the most right now is like, yeah, I have a day job. Yes, I can support a family. Yes, I'm supporting myself. And like, I'm a committed person who gets up and goes to work every day. The thing that I like the most about myself, however, in this divorce late 40s era is like, I'm doing the things that I never had the effort or energy to do. And And because I was in a marriage, because I had young kids, like I started a business, I'm starting a podcast. Like I just had an idea the other day for like a convention for makers over 40, like internet makers over women
Ooh,
40. I was like, I should do
I
that, but
love that.
maybe it's a great idea. It's a great
Yeah, I
idea.
love that. Well, I mean, look, and whenever I say these things, they come across as cold and callous, and then everyone's like, "Well, like," and it's not meant that way. It's just meant to say that, like, I do think that there are, when your first impression, the very first thing that people find out about you, I do think stability is an important thing to get across. When you're over 40, stability is important. Nobody wants to date. You're already unstable. You're divorced. You're separated. You're a single parent. You are already unstable. And so adding additional instability, like, oh, I'm a full-time musician, or like, I make t-shirts, for college students. And, and by the way, do you have a spare room like that that I can live in? That's, they're not interested in it. Like, and when you're in your 20s, instability isn't so bad because you're still growing together. But when you're older, like, so that's, I 100% agree that, like, passion to me, like, if you don't care about something, with and really want to I'm not interested in being part of your journey, like your journey. I want a passionate journey. I'm passionate about things. You're passionate about things. So I agree about that. I just think, it's about stability. I feel like putting across that you're stable is something that will make people feel more comfortable in being with you, because there's so much in your life that isn't stable.
Bartenders and chefs get an automatic like left swipe from me because like
exactly.
You got a job. I don't want any part of it.
No part of bartender. Chefs I'm okay with, even though I just don't want to be around the outbursts that will happen constantly. But plus chefs will hate me because I don't eat anything. So like chefs will not like to date me. I literally, I hate anyone that tells me, eat it the way I made it. I'm like, no, take the damn mayo off. I don't want the mayo. It's like, yeah, but it tastes better with the mayo. Take the damn mayo off. I am the customer.
You know how glad, I will say one divorce thing that I am glad about, we'll talk about in another episode, is like I can have mayonnaise in my house again because my ex was
oh my God. Oh, so bad. Oh, so many horrible things that we put on our food. Why do we do this? Why do we hate food so much that we ruin it? We ruin it. We're like, we hate food so much. We hate ourselves so much. We stick white glop on food.
Come on. You don't want to dip French fry?
Oh my God. No, even thinking about it makes me want to stick my head in the oven. God. It's horrible. Oh, no mayo. I've grown to be okay with mustard over time. Ketchup, I mean, anything with sugar in it, I'm okay. But mayo, anything egg-based, I just cannot. Anyway, that is.
I hope you're upfront about this on your dating profiles.
I am. No, I am like, do not feed me. We're wrapping it up. My hope is that people listening have, one, gotten some sense that all those things you're grappling with, we're all grappling with. It's not easy for anybody, whether you're a man, a woman, whether you're looking for men or women. It's just not easy, and it is scary. And hopefully some of the tips that we have put out there are helpful to you. I mean, they've been helpful to me over time. I know Lily's just living her best life, rocking out her weekends.
I'm trying. No, my weekends are very boring, which is what I like.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. Leave a like or a crazy comment. We'd love to hear from you, and see you again soon.